I'm so glad I did this series. Because no one's playing my game, and no one's telling me anything, I ended up charging my patrons for the next version, and I never posted it. This was like 4 weeks ago. No one told me anything, and I thought I linked it. I made a whole post about how I'm so proud about the changes. And there was no game. No game. So, after this, I'm gonna be posting it on Patreon. And, hopefully this time, people will play it. Yeah. So, version 3, that will eventually come out to public and Patreon. No wonder people really weren't commenting. Anyway, this version, I realized that the desert was super bland, especially with what we get to later. I added variants on foliage, depending upon how close to water they are. We also finally have the building change. I definitely don't feel like these buildings are finalized. This looks a little too dark for my tastes, but maybe? I need more differentiation between the sign and the building itself. They look too similar in my vision. The adobe houses look pretty fine, and the villagers finally got their update, you might have seen earlier. Some of them look oddly modern. Thanks, Abbott. You got a real design change. Now this, the healing well. It seems to be a good source of water. Your party seems to feel a whole lot better. You will actually heal your party members, which are spawning correctly. But these buttons won't disappear if you only have one party member, so, oh well. When it comes to the mine, I don't think anything changed at all, so I'm gonna bypass that and talk as I walk down this path. So, I guess this first. Fighting works. Oh god, fighting works and the leveling here sucks. So, if you can hear, more music by Gwyn. Different feel, completely. In fact, I'll probably use this more for a boss battle. But, it's actually pretty jammin', man. I would listen to this just by itself. But, getting on with that, the background's completely different. It's not just the solid tan. I want to make sure the levels are fine. I'm going to lower music a little bit. But thank you again, Gwyn. I just commissioned her recently again for a third song. But even though the Apacies are floating a little bit, they have levels. They have moves. They will only use struggle, but you can fight them. So, fake out, it has a chance to flinch, so I pretty much always use that. But the leveling here really sucks. Music does transition well, as opposed to the battler, though that will be a problem eventually. I kind of cheated just to make sure everything worked. The teleporting back will not arrive yet. It will be in the version 4 update. But if you get lucky enough to fight in a 1v1 and win, you should level up, which it won't display automatically, but watch the stats. Level 6, so it did level up. But a few things. The health here, even though I just healed, it's lower again. That's because there's no time change in between turns. So one of these, probably Iana, because of the speed stats, went first and attacked me. It could be both, but at least Iana, or at least one of them, went and attacked me first. Eventually I'll get to fixing that, but I have a feeling that'll come more with animations than anything. So, because everything still works, I want to polish everything else before I add time. But as soon as you choose a move, all 3 Apacies will go, because if Iana went, it'll be Myriad, Maliel, and then Iana again, before it hits Myriad. There's a high chance that you will die if you fight in a 2v2 this early on. But I think because of that whole issue, I coded in that if you're already down and don't have any party members with HP, that you just won't get attacked. Kind of helps here, especially for exploration, which was the main goal of this version. I experimented with map size, and once this is filled in, this could be really nice. However, a few things happen. First off, the foliage that I mentioned before and you can see in Aho, it's the same thing as the version 2 health bar. It's below the layer, so you can't see it. It's there, and I fixed it as soon as I realized in version 4. But it makes this whole journey a little bit more bland. What also makes this a little bit more bland is the lack of variance. Now, if you walk off the beaten path, you will find this little lake area, which is kind of nice. It's not enough water to actually, swim in, and I didn't care to try and make a whole new animation set for it. Especially now, and you're going to be in a desert, so I might not ever. But aside from that and sort of mountains, there's not a whole lot down here. But there are three things, because I forgot about this guy. First off, Samah here. Man, I can't find anything around here. Hey, if you find a catcher, make sure to use it wisely. I can feel some force pulling me to the center of this circle, almost like it's luring me inside. I wonder what this could be used for. That can be used for capturing Apacies. It was severely bugged in this version, but those players who might be dedicated enough to play will find that they can actually fight with 2 Apacies, which, when we head back to town, we'll get to. There's another NPC way down south, about a little more than twice, or a little more than that distance again, at the very, very bottom of this long pathway. But his main goal is really just to tell people where the end of the current map is. And that's all he'll be used for. It's kind of like a reoccurring NPC. So I'm not going to worry with showing him off, really. It's not too weird. But capturing, I feel like that's huge. But the second problem is, if a player did happen to come all the way down here, and then they lost their HP, they had to walk all the way back up. So not spawning in was a double-edged sword that I eventually fix in 0.4. So now that now that Mariette is healed, let's capture Hyana. Yeah. It's an auto capture, because I didn't program in anything, and I don't think I did for 4 either. But if you look in the party member sheet, first update Mariette, the defense went up, as you can see. Leveling up can happen. Hyana's here, and we have all of its stats. And we should be able to battle with it too. Eventually. Let's heal up first. And it should have all of its own movesets. So, fight. It's Hyana first. There's no indication that it is, but Mariette will never learn Opaque, naturally at least. Which I think is just a stat booster, and it won't tell you that, because I haven't implemented that yet. It'll probably be in version 5, I'm thinking. I'm working on the game, I promise, I'm sorry. But they will each get... Oh, struggle can always be used to damage. They will each get experience for this battle. And they will both level up. Now, because I just wanted to show off the leveling, I made it super easy to level. So, you need a... If an Apacies is A level, you need that level amount of experience to level up. But every Apacies you fight and faint, it will give you 3 times its level in experience per team member that you have. So fighting level 2s, which everything's locked to level 2, it will always give 6 XP. Yeah, I think that works out. But Mariette will need at least 2 fights, or at max 2 fights to level up. Because the first 6, then you'll have an extra 6, carrying 4 experience over. Oh, Yana learned Peck. And that's another thing. I got... Apacies can actually learn moves. It's a little weird, and if I ever change the leveling, which I might to 100, I'm going to have to work on that and probably add a few new moves. But I'm pretty proud of the progress I made between 2 and 3. Lots of graphical updates, lots of battling. That was so huge. The only weird, really weird thing is this, the dream catcher. There's no limit. It's an item you can use over and over again. But I guess that works for people who are exploring and wondering what's happening. At some point along the development process, I guess this never made it into a main game, but each of the party members got a turn in a battle. So if you had all 5 and you were fighting one enemy, it was a real onslaught. It was bad. It was real bad. I also have area-specific Apacies. Nothing in the lake area, just to make that clear. But between the main desert and the cave, there will be variances. In fact, there's even a very tiny chance that something will spawn inside the town that won't spawn anywhere else. In fact, it's either 2 or 3 Apacies at this point. But little bonus. Oh, the lovable boy. I love Pitfox so much. It's so adorable. Look at that little face. He's gonna bury you. He's just... I'm gonna refrain from saying any violent speech, mainly because I feel like this person right here is this Pitfox is a sociopath, and I really like it that way because it's so adorable. But then it's got the reverse crosses for its eyes. Yeah. But that is version 3. Huge progress compared to version 2. Version 1, it's comparable because at version 1 I hardly had anything. But the battling was so huge here that I can't believe I did this in a month. Now version 4 is going to have a lot of bug fixes and a lot of fixes in general, so there isn't going to be as much expansion. In fact, a lot less than I'm thinking. Yeah. A lot of the expansion has to do with specific moves that you generally wouldn't see. Some sprite changes, like Narcote here, they'll get a design change. Iana already did, if you have played the Battler or the main game long enough. This is better. I'm still probably going to redesign it. The colors are too saturated. Yeah, but aside from that, a lot has come from the game. And I'm hoping that more can with people's help. Thank anyone for checking this out, and links in the description as always. Have a good night.